Before we start tonight's program, this is a reminder that this episode will address various topics related to mental health. And also, reminder about multiple sclerosis. These may be sensitive to some of our viewers. Viewer discretion, as always, is advised. We remind you to please consult your doctor, your mental health professional, your outreach group, your sponsor, or specialist before adopting any change to your dietary, physical, and or mental health regime. If you are looking for options with respect to mental health, contact SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, at 1-800-662-HELP. It's 1-800-662-4357. The service is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and is a confidential free information service for individuals and family members facing such stressors. Importantly, if you're feeling suicidal crisis or emotional distress and need to be put in touch with a crisis center, call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. You can also text the word HOME to 741-741. Those resources are also available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And as always, I'm going to talk about something that has been part of my story for the last year and, quite frankly, the last 11 years by way of multiple sclerosis. The National MS Society is a collective of passionate individuals who want to do something about MS now, to move together towards a world free of multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is comprised of unpredictable and often disabling flare-ups of the central nervous system. Such flare-ups disrupt the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and the body. The National MS Society is the largest private funder of MS researchers in the world, investing more than $1 billion to date. MS stops people from moving, but the National MS Society exists to make sure that MS doesn't. To contact the National MS Society, please call 1-800-344-4867. Once again, 1-800-344-4867. Or go to their website at nationalmssociety.org. Thank you to all of you who have donated money to this amazing organization, and also all of you that have gone to the National MS Society to learn more about multiple sclerosis and demyelination. It touches me and over the 1 million people in this country that have multiple sclerosis in so many ways. And I appreciate all of you. And on that, let's begin. Tonight, we're going to talk about bullying. We're going to talk about something that has affected us when we were kids and affects us even as adults. It doesn't matter whether it was at school or at work or with family or with friends or just walking down the street minding our own business. And it can happen for the most random of reasons, with the most random of motive. Tonight we talk to someone who has a presentation about bullying because he has taken it upon himself to educate a lot more people about bullying and its detrimental effects on us all. This is The Venture Forward. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, and welcome to the Venture Forward. I am John Venturini, a recovering addict of alcoholism, overeating, obesity, and compulsive gambling, and it is an honor and pleasure to see all of you tonight on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And we start off with someone buying a Marcus. Marcus, thank you, sir. Thank you for the coffee. I appreciate that, sir. Very much so. And I appreciate all of you. Tonight, we're going to talk about something we haven't talked about on the show yet, and that bullying. It's something that I've dealt with as a kid, as a young adult, as an adult, something that has been part of my life for a long time, and something that they say, hey, you're supposed to have a duck's back, or ain't. No, it always sticks to us. And I think what we learn over time is that there are ways that we have to handle this, but there's also things that we must keep in mind to make sure that we don't do the same thing. Tonight, I have a very special guest on the show who is a fellow live streamer, 17-year-old high school student. You know him. I'm going to bring him right on right now, in that of Austin. How are you today? I'm going to get you off mute. Can I hear you? You're on mute? He is on mute. Now he's not on mute. Hold on. We'll fix that. Please stand by. We're having technical difficulties. Let's see. Yeah. Why don't, you know what? I'll tell you what. Why don't you come back in via eCam, and I'll get you back on, Austin. So hang up and get back in, okay? Okay. He's going to try to reconnect. In the meantime, I'm going to say hello to all of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And who wins the door prize? It is Sarah. How are you doing over on YouTube? And there's Austin. I'm going to sign him into the green room. There he is. And get back over here, and hopefully, can you hear me? Austin, you're still on mute. You're in the green room. Move from green room. There we go.
There we go.
Now I can hear you. That was my fault. Look
Awesome.
at that. Look at that. So, see, it's, you would never believe this. This is the first time I'm live streaming. You would have never guessed. No guess whatsoever.
Never guessed. No.
We'll say hi to everybody else before we get started with your story. Got Callie over on YouTube, says hey. We got Paul, who says hey to Callie and Sarah in the Venture Forward, and you, Austin. We got Murd. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well over there. And we got Marcus. Thanks again for the coffee. Muchly appreciated. And and we got Saren as well on YouTube. Hope you're having a great evening, Saren. And we also have co-host of VF Talks on Fridays at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. Shameless plug. Matt Haas, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go. So, bullying. And I guess my first question for you is, when did you realize, or when did you decide that you wanted to do something to talk about bullying and be more of an outreach for bullying and whatnot? Tell me how that began with wherever you presented this before.
So, I've been a victim of bullying like all my life since I was in kindergarten. I've always been very sensitive, very emotional. I always would just cry when I was a kid, just on the drop of a dime. I would cry. Everybody made fun of me for it. But then when I got into 7th grade, I was introduced to a program called Peacekeepers, which I will talk about in a little bit. But I'll talk about the details of it in a little bit. But basically, I was introduced into that. I went through, and I didn't know what it was. I was very nervous at first. It's just completely new territory for me. But then I got to talk to the mentor that runs it. I got to really just get into it, and I learned that it's a wonderful place. What we do is help um, we help kids to be the best them that they can be. Like we help them learn how to cope. We help them learn how to just achieve, like be the best them, and then we also teach them how to help other kids be the best them that they can be. So, and that's something that really I really liked about that. I got to help other people, but the biggest thing is bullying is one of my biggest struggles when talking to people. That's like the one thing that everybody's happening. Everything's going on. They're getting bullied a lot, so I got to help them. I don't have to. I choose to help them through it.
I I want to first say that I totally wish that there was a program like this back when I was in school. Because when I was back in school, certainly there wasn't the number of channels in which one can be bullied rather. But bullying was definitely a thing, and to have a program like that, especially in this day and age, is immense. And what you're doing is absolutely incredible, and I can't wait for you to talk about it. Quick comment from Laura over on YouTube says, Austin, thank you for speaking out about bullying. You got a lot of people here that are very much inspired by you. Outside of the fact that you know we think that you're an incredible mind as far as live streaming, but you definitely have a story to tell, and I don't think we should waste any longer. I will go back to your cam, and if you want to share your presentation, and as we go forward, I'll interject questions, and of course, all of you have any questions or comments, continue to send them in the comments, and we'll address them as we go forward.
Okay.
So there we go.
Um, it is showing up right now, right?
Yep, it's
You can
showing. It
see it.
says you got the title slide of bullying. And Matt, I think, has it
Awesome. Okay.
defined as bullying equals bad. So definitely.
Yeah. Matt, why don't you just come up here and do it? You just summed it all up. Whole hour just gone. Don't even need this whole slideshow. You summed it up right there.
Bullying is bad. There you go.
Right. So, just a little background about me for those of you that don't know me. I know a lot of people in the chat do, but again, there's some that don't know. People watching the replay that don't know. I'm a 17-year-old senior in high school, and I've been bullied since I was in kindergarten. As I said, I was always just picked on for crying at the drop of a dime. I was extremely sensitive. Um, and actually, it didn't help that my kindergarten bus driver, she started calling me alligator tears, and the phrase it caught on, and everybody started calling me alligator tears. And to this day, I still get people calling me alligator tears, and that shouldn't be allowed. An adult should not start this. It's like it shouldn't happen to begin with, but especially an adult starting something like that, that makes me so mad to this day. Um, uh, and yeah, I've never had too many friends in school. I don't have very many. I want to say real life friends, but that's not a right term because you guys are technically real and you are living, so you're technically real life friends. But I don't have any friends. I don't have any close friends that I can talk to in person. I have to talk to them online, and it's still pretty true to this day. Um, as I said earlier, I'm in the Peacekeeper program. I gave you a little bit of background on that. And I just love helping people and peers with their problems. It's something that I really enjoy doing.
Before you continue on to the next slide, we had a couple of questions. Callie asked a question: why were you called alligator tears?
Why was I called alligator tears?
Yeah.
Because I cried at the drop of a dime. Like anybody just said anything about me, I just started crying.
Yeah, I was called melodramatic when I was like in elementary school. That was like the sixth grade word of the day. They wanted to teach me. I'm melodramatic because I cried real easy as well. But to be called alligator tears, it's unheard of. To think that a responsible adult, even someone who is a bus driver, or in my case, it was actually my it wasn't sixth grade. It was actually fifth grade. My fifth grade teacher calling me melodramatic. It's like, where do you come off saying that without any sort of talk with the principal, talk with other people to make sure that's the right message to give? Because at that age, your age, when you're called alligator tears, my age, this is the most formative years of our life. Was anything done about that?
Um, no, nothing. My mom was extremely mad, but she didn't say anything, which I feel should have been said.
We
But
had a question from Sammy real quick as well. Did anyone bully you when you were younger outside of that
all,
person that calls you alligator tears?
all the time, all the time. Starting in kindergarten, I was pushed in the mud. I would want to go out and play football with the rest of the guys. I'd be pushed in the mud. One time I had my face slammed into the ground. That was back when the physical bullying was huge. Um, Kids are ruthless. I will say, kids just yeah, they don't
Incredible.
care. They will hurt you.
It kind of
But then
makes you
as time
think,
went
Austin,
on,
whether or not that sort of behavior was passed down from their family, though.
yeah, I think some of it could have been, yeah. Um, as my elementary school's years went on, I got um, I this is going to be very disgusting. So, but I would pick my nose and I would eat it until I was like third grade, which a lot of kids do. But like that, I did it till I was in third grade, and I got made fun of for that. And I also got accused of all the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books in the library. I was
Right.
accused of picking my nose, putting the boogers in between the pages. I I don't know where they come up with stuff. I really want to know where they come up with it.
Usually, when it's written, it's because the author either experienced it themselves or they knew of so many people in their life that they figured, well, that would be great for a story, for a fable, and we're going to build the book around that. Marcus
Yeah.
says, "I just remembered that I was bullied in school. I didn't think about that in a long time." So everybody's been bullied in one way or another.
Yeah, everybody's been bullied, but also at the same time, I wanted to talk about this at the end, but I'll talk about it now because segues.
Mm.
Everybody has been a bully. Not only have you been bullied, but you have been a bully. You may not think about it off the top of your head, but you have been a bully to somebody. Everybody has.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to
It
two.
may be like the smallest little thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
it's funny, and I think Sarah, I think, nailed it on this one. She said, "I don't think kids are ruthless by nature. I think they learn it in their families."
yeah.
So if you've been bullied, but you might be a bully for someone else, do you find yourself? And again, I think he covered this later in the presentation, so I won't spoil that. But it's amazing how that follows. And I'm going to go back to your prezo, but it's incredible how that cycle keeps on flowing down like that from one generation to one generation to one generation, but also not only within our circle, but what we do to others.
Um, I do want to mention earlier. I saw that Matt Haas asked about the fonts. The font it said Comic Sans. The fonts in this presentation are all over the place. I think I don't think I have two. Yeah, I don't think two slides have the same font. So don't worry.
The content is solid. It doesn't matter what the typography is. I'll say that.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll just move on. So I want to talk about what is bullying. I have the dictionary definition of bullying, which everybody's heard in their life, and you have the connotation, which is what I think of when I hear bullying. So the denotation is, this is going to sound very boring, but bullying is an overt, unwanted, repeated act or gesture, including verbal or written communications or images transmitted in any manner, including digitally, physical acts committed, aggression, or any other behaviors that are committed by an individual or group of individuals against another individual with the intent to harass, ridicule, humiliate, intimidate, or harm the targeted individual and create for the targeted individual an objectively hostile environment. I said individual like 5 times. but but this we don't need any of that. Like, yeah, sure, that's a lot of information to take in, but really what you need to take from that information is just, it's when a group of people or somebody or a group of people attack someone else by means of physical aggression or verbal aggression in order to attain some kind of emotional backlash or reaction from the individual. Nobody bullies just to bully. They love to see the reaction that somebody gets. Like, they like to see somebody get mad when somebody calls them alligator tears. They like to see somebody cry and break down in tears when somebody calls them alligator tears. These are definitely just hypotheticals. They didn't actually happen, 100%.
We had some
No, they definitely
comments
happen.
as you were talking about that. I want to bring up real quickly. Sammy said that once someone took his food at school many years ago, which I think that's happened to me too.
Sam,
And
actually, I don't
then
think I've ever had my food stolen, but well, maybe I have. I don't remember. It's been a while.
Matt
I haven't
goes.
had it recently.
Matt says my parents changed my school because I was bullied so many times. I was such a small kid, an easy target. I mean,
Yeah.
was there talk with your parents about that, or was it just full steam ahead?
Um, I again was as I still am. I'm a little um like I like to keep things to myself, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really talk to them about much of it. I did tell them about some things. If they saw that in kindergarten, if they saw that I had scratches or bruises or anything, they'd ask me what it was, and I was taught never to lie, so I didn't lie.
Yeah,
If I had a bad day, or like my mom, she's a mom, she knows something's going on. She would know when.
that sort
Yeah,
of mom sense starts going
I
off.
was having it. Mm-hmm.
Saren says, bullied home in school, and yes, I have acknowledged myself bullying and living in loving kindness as best as I can every day. Austin, I think that's where you kind of gravitate to this is the fact that you're taking this sort of energy that was flung at you and it's sort of vicious with lots of vitriol, and you're turning it into something that's very loving and empowering. It's absolutely phenomenal, Austin. I gotta repeat that because we don't talk about this much, but we should. We spent a lot of time talking about mental health. We should be talking about this too, and I'm glad we're doing this tonight for sure. Callie
And
asks,
something
"Oh,
I don't
go
have in
ahead,
my
go ahead, go
I
ahead."
was gonna something I don't have in my presentation. I do want to talk about um, the effects that bullying has on your mental health.
Yeah. Callie asks, "Do you think there is ever a valid reason to bully someone?"
No, I
No.
don't. I honestly, like, yeah, I don't. I'm somebody that doesn't judge. I don't judge anymore. I don't know what's going on at home. So if you are bullying someone, I won't judge you, but I'll judge you, but I won't judge you because like that's not, you never know what's going on at home. They're both, their parents could just be having fights all the time. Their parents could be divorced. Their parents could be dead for all you know. You
Oh
you
man.
don't know what's going on. Sorry to get dark on you, but
No, no, no. See, Austin. That's the reality though, because we don't know what everybody else is going through. We have no idea. We have no idea if their parents are in decent health. We don't know if there's a problem with their family. We don't know if there's any sort of thing. And we could be flippant and try to come up with a quick yuck yuck and try to be funny. But when people are going through so much and they're keeping it bottled in, there's no way for us to know, and it's not for us to know. It's not. We don't have the right to know that. So we should just have a better conscience about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
One more comment from Sammy. Sammy says, "My twin brother, someone hurt him at school, and he had to get stitches, and that was his first time going to the hospital since he was born, and this was 7 years ago or something like that."
Yeah, this is when Sammy tells everybody that he has a twin brother. But yeah,
I felt that.
I um I I'm trying to think. I think my sister, she was at her locker once, and the girl that's been bullying her whole life, came up to her, smacked her school device out of her hands. I believe threw her into the locker, and she didn't have any scars or anything. I think she had a bruise, but like, it wasn't anything horrible. But just why? Like
Sammy continues
yeah.
to say, "I'm sorry," and nobody at that school did nothing. Yeah, golly knows how many times that happens when someone gets abused and whatnot. But the thing with a lot of times people don't report that sort of thing, and golly knows how many times we get abused, whether mentally or physically or verbally. And you talk about the different kinds of abuse, and we'll go through that in the next 5-10 minutes, I'm sure. But like, it can be under so many different levels. So many different levels. I got one more question with Marcus, and then we'll continue with the Prezzo. Marcus asks, "Do you think every aggression between kids is wrong, or does it need a certain level and duration to be bullying?"
Um, so it really depends on what your definition of aggression is. So I believe that kids need competition. Everybody needs, even as adults, you need competition, because competition makes you strive to be better than what you already are. If you don't have competition, you're not going to try and be better. Um, and I think competition really helps kids to learn that they need to be better. And a competition does make you a little heated, a little aggressive, I guess. But you shouldn't aggression to the point where you're fighting, you're hitting, you're kicking, you're biting, you're punching, whatever.
Mm,
I don't think it should. I don't think it should get to that level.
yeah, I agree. It should never go to that sort of level. There should be ways to amicably work out things without having to go to such, dare I say, barbaric sort of behavior. But we have words. We have other ways to have discourse without going to that sort of level.
And I'm also somebody that gets really mad really easily, but I've also learned to channel that and try and make it positive. I won't lash out on somebody. It'll most of the time just I'll if I know they're okay with it, I'll go up and hug them. Even if I'm mad at them or they're mad at me, I will go up and hug them, and it usually works. Only if I know they're okay with it, though.
Sarah made a really good point. You talk about not knowing what's going on with someone. It's shame based behavior. If we were more open about whatever is going on, we might become a more compassionate society.
But it's also not our right to know what's going on. Yes, yeah, yes, I agree that to an extent, we should know what's going on, but at the same time, we don't need to know.
Right.
That's their life. I don't I don't try and get into people's personal lives. When I'm trying to help them, I just try to help them with what's going on in the now. I don't. If it happens to get into their personal life, sure, I'll sit there and talk with them. But I don't. One my big thing is I don't give advice. Advice is the worst thing you can give somebody. They need to come up with the solution themselves.
We can show people that we're listening, and if we feel
Yes.
that it's apropos, then maybe we provide a little. but you said it right, Austin. We're not therapists, but we're here to listen. We have 2 ears. We're here to listen,
Hmm.
right? And God only knows how many. I keep on using that phrase tonight, but to have people to listen and just be another sounding board for us is so important.
Yeah,
Get Laura's comment up real quickly. I think it is people trying to fit in by making others feel bad. I cry at everything too, and it has made me an easy target. It is amazing the difference one person can make by reaching out to help.
definitely,
Let's go back to
definitely.
bullying here.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on to the different types of bullying, because yes, there are more than one type. Um, let's start with number one. You have the physical bullying. That's the kind of bullying that you think of in like the movies, like pushing people into lockers, pushing them down, knocking books out of their hands, tripping people. It's just anything physically, yeah, that's just anything physically that they do to harm. Um, you have the verbal, which is just making mean comments, calling people names. Um, a big one, inappropriate sexual comments, harassment, sexual harassment, huge nowadays. Or just threats, even with empty threats or not, they're threats nonetheless. Then you have social and relational. Um, it involves hurting someone's reputation or relationships. Basically, telling friends not to be friends with, telling your friends not to be friends with this person, telling um, your girlfriend or boyfriend, your significant other, that they can't hang out with this type of people. And it's also just spreading rumors about somebody. Rumors are horrible, horrible, horrible. And my motto is never believe a rumor, ever.
Mm, yeah,
I've been caught on the back end of a lot of rumors as well. And then the last one is electronic and written communication. This one hits a lot now because of the use of these things right here, the smartphone. Um, you have social media, cyberbullying. Social media has done a huge impact on helping bullies. It's, yeah. I've never been on the back end of a cyberbully, but I know a couple people that have, and they're not good. They're horrible, and you can do so much more with electronic bullying and cyberbullying because you have all the time in the world to type. You can say whatever you want. A lot of places are getting more, are mediating a lot more. They have a lot more auto moderation, but they don't always work.
yeah,
So basically, be careful. Be careful out there on the internet.
without question. We were talking about this in the pre-interview yesterday, in the sense that when I was in my teenage years, there wasn't as many different channels for people to bully me and vice, whatever, right? Um, and it really becomes scary to think about the different ways someone can lay a major sort of verbal blow or some sort of harassment on us from many different perspectives. It's downright scary.
Yeah, it really is.
Some
I have an example of it.
Go ahead.
I have an example of it. The great influencer, Mr. Jacksepticeye, um, I believe last year, it was either the beginning of this year or last end of last year, his father passed away, and there was a bunch of people making jokes about his father passing away, and that, like, just basically laughing at him, saying that it's funny that his dad died, and that's no, that's horrible. That took a huge toll on his mental health. That to the fact that to the point that he took longer to not upload content, and it made the grieving process a lot longer.
He had to take a major hiatus just to process, but to
Mm-hmm.
also to offset a lot of that sort of vitriol and that sort of just negative energy that's headed towards his way.
Mm-hmm.
Paul says, yeah, that did crush him for a while. So, some comments as we were talking about the different types of bullying. First, a quick hi to Jamie. Jamie joined us on YouTube. Hope you're doing well. And
Hi,
then
Jamie.
we go to Saren, who says, yeah, I think that bullied home. I already brought that comment up already. Sarah says, a good book about teaching teachers and kids how to, after these behaviors, is Mark Brackett's Permission to Feel. I've heard that one before. That's definitely a good book. I might actually put a comment or a comment. I might add that to the description to put a link to how to get that book. That's really a good book, Sarah. Thank you for suggesting that.
I'll have to look
Guilt.
into that one.
Yeah, without question. Gilly asks, how does one deal with the bully which steals your identity, befriends you while moving chess pieces effectively against you behind your back to seize your influence?
That's a heavy one.
Yeah. But it's Gilly, not surprised.
Um, Actually, I'm going to talk about how to deal with bullies here later in the presentation. Maybe that'll answer your question. If not, you can ask again, and I'll see if I can come up with something. But
That's a good way to do that. Saren also says, let's be clear, these aren't new or popular now. It's just that people are calling out bullying, so it seems like it's happening more. So Saren's point is that
definitely, yeah.
it's always been the case, but now I think we've had such a heightened awareness of it.
Mm-hmm. There's more people like me going out there and saying we need something needs to be done.
Right. Right. And then before we go back to the presentation, Matt says, what are some solutions?
Um, Again, I'm going to get into
Okay.
just some ways to deal with it. Um, yeah,
Okay.
and then at the end of this, I'm going to talk about some things that we might be able to do as a community to get in to help with this. But yeah,
Okay.
all right, so we're going to go on. Maybe if it works. Considerations for bullying. Um, has there been past conflict? Have they been in a dating or a friend relationship? Have they just, yeah, um, just basically, were there conflicts between them before that would cause for bullying? A lot of people say that this would not count as bullying, but in my opinion, I think it would. I don't see why it wouldn't. Um, if they're doing all the steps before that, it's repeated, unwanted, and yeah, it's still considered bullying. I don't care if there was a past conflict, if they were dating, it's still bullying. Um, is there an imbalance of power? And reminder that imbalance is not limited to physical strength. You can have a imbalance of power, like somebody could be smarter, somebody could be, I guess, more knowledgeable in a certain field. They could be, yeah. It's just, is there an imbalance of anything, of any kind of power whatsoever? And then again, has a similar incident happened before? Is it repetitive? It's a big harassment is huge. Repetitive, bullying, repetitive, just yeah, anything, anything repetitive, especially when you're asked to stop. There is a line between doing it for fun and harassment. Um, the moment they tell you to stop, and if you keep going after that moment, you are harassing, you are bullying. I don't care if you're doing it all for jokes, all for fun. It is.
Going back to what you experienced with the bus driver and the alligator tears and whatnot and other incidents, has there been a repetitive or common calling card to how that behavior was inflicted upon you?
Um, I guess it was really just anytime I got on the bus and I would go and just do really anything. It was alligator tears from everybody on the bus. I would get alligator tears from the bus driver every now and then.
Hmm.
I would get on the bus and the bus driver would just be like, "Well, hey, alligator tears." It's, there really wasn't any rhyme or reason to it. They just did it.
They start jumping on that sort of bandwagon, and they get that sort of, and I hate to go back to that term, but something we've talked about on this show many times over, but that sort of dopamine drip of that sort of
Yep.
rivalry that comes at, almost in a schadenfreude sort of sense of another person's displeasure, and people just jump on top of it. It's it's amazing how the human psyche works, especially when it goes down that road. Couple quick comments. Laura says, I really like the Wonder series about this topic too.
Oh, the Wonder series is beautiful.
Sarah says, I'm glad you got into Lita Austin. I am too.
I am too.
And
Yes,
Gilly
Paul, the bus driver.
Gilly says, 14 people watching. Let's get 14 thumbs up. Yes. Listen to Gilly. Yes. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gilly. Appreciate it. And then Marcus says, the imbalance of power, streamer versus chat.
I mean, sure, I guess. Though, also, in my opinion, chat has just as much power, if not more power, than the streamer.
It's true.
Because there's more of you.
We're just two over here. There's
You
Austin
can
on the right, me on the
easily
left.
go. You can easily go up to the top right corner and click that little flag, and find some stupid reason.
Mm-mm.
Please don't.
No, no,
Please do not. But you can.
don't. And go back to your prezo.
We're gonna talk about how to report bullying at school. I believe this only counts for Sammy out there, but hey, everybody has everybody has somebody that they know that's in school, whether it be a brother, sister, son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, niece, nephew, whatever, what have you. Um, Everybody has somebody that's in school. They know it could be a friend's child for all, I don't know. But what you can do is you can tell a trusted adult in the building, teacher, counselor, principal. Um, Trusted adults are huge in school. I have a trusted adult. Actually, I think I have two trusted adults that I can go to, which isn't good. Every single adult in that building should be a trusted adult, but I don't know if I can trust everybody in that building. Um, but yeah, you should tell somebody that you trust to do something about it at the school. If that doesn't really help, you can always tell a parent or a guardian. They can always easily get into the administration, and the administrators will usually do something about it. And then you can always also fill out an incident report if your school provides one. I know my school, you can. Um, there's a little bookmarked page that you can get onto on your school device, and you can fill out a bullying report if something happened, bullying or harassment. I think, yeah. I wish, I don't know if all schools have that, but if they don't, I wish they do.
I think in this world where, especially given the last 22, 24 months, for a concert series that does not exist anymore, that I'm not gonna do that joke anymore. I'm just gonna say because of COVID. There, see, they try that one. Um, it's
Oh,
it's I think we've had to be a lot more ingenious as far as how we can get that communication out sooner to protect, especially our youth, right? You have kids going to school, and if they're taking classes at home because they're in quarantine or the schools are locked down or whatnot, even more the chance for that sort of harassment to head down the road of cyber channels and online bullying. So I totally get that. Laura says, I am a parent. So she gets this. But then Sarah brings up a really good point, and if you want to talk about that for a second, Sarah says that her mother was a bully to her kids. So we talk about the sort of bullying that happens within school, but what happens when that bullying comes down to our family?
Um, next slide. Next slide, baby.
Let's go to it. Boom.
So this is how to deal with bullying. Not all of these are a surefire way to work, um, but you can just ignore them. Many bullies just want to get a reaction from you. Just yeah, just bully them. Wow, just ignore them.
No.
Do not retaliate. That is the worst thing you can do. Do not retaliate. Um, but yeah, just ignore them. Um, yeah, and if it's verbal, just chime in, make fun of yourself with them. That's something that I've done. That's how I cope with a lot of people making fun of me now. I just I just let people make fun of me, and it's the amount of times I've been bullying has went down dramatically. And if it's at work, you can tell a boss or a higher up. Um, Usually they'll do something about it. Not all of them. If it is a boss or a higher up that's doing this because of imbalance of power, do the steps above.
Mm. Some comments from the last slide, but also this slide too. I want to get to them real quick here. A lot of thoughts towards Sarah, and I want to echo them too. Sorry, Sarah, that's hard. I mean, I can only imagine that sort of thing going on at home and being bullied at home by your parents. It's horrible. Laura says, Sarah, that's hard.
Honestly, I never thought about people getting bullied at home. That's something that completely slipped my mind.
Jamie also says, sorry, Sarah. Now, Sarah takes it one step further and says it's the victim perpetuator cycle. The abused becomes the abuser if they don't work on their shit.
Yes. Yes, actually, I would have to agree with that 100%.
Sarah also says that's great that you can report it that way in school.
But at the same time, Sarah, you have the abused becoming the abuser. You also you see how I think of it. I don't know, so please don't take offense to this. I don't know how it is. My parents never did this to me, but I feel like if you see how your parents treated you, you do not want your kids to be raised like that. So in my opinion, I would, as me as a person, every single thing that I don't like about my parents, I feel like are unfair or unjust. Like I feel like as a parent, I'm gonna want to raise my children to like the opposite way,
Right.
just so I know that my kids have a better childhood.
Yeah. You give
That's
them
how I think. But again, please, I'm not a professional. I don't know how that is. I'm a 17-year-old. I don't even have children. So yeah, I have no idea.
the way it was told to me when I was growing up is you always want to leave something better than how you entered into it. So basically, you want to be able to make it better, to make it grow, to provide as much love, care, and knowledge to something. I think even today in 2021, that's got to be true, especially given the ways we can quickly do that. So I kind of look at it that way. I think of that as almost as hallmark as the golden rule. Do unto others. I think we always try to improve upon things, make things better, but we also want to treat others as we want to be treated ourselves.
Yeah.
Saren says, growing up being bullied at home is hard if you're not alone. Hard as expletive deleted if you're not alone. And then Paul says, and I gotta bring this comment up. I don't call it retaliation. I call
Oh, I
it
saw
outbullying my opponent. That Paul. Well done, man.
No.
Well done. Ay, ay, ay. And then let's see. A couple more. I'll bring them up right now. Saren says it's so hard to break the cycle because you don't know how to do better unless you work hard to learn better. So it's that education piece as well.
Yep.
Sarah says, absolutely, Austin. I got into therapy because I wanted to end the cycle of multiple generations.
Yeah. That's great. That's awesome. I'm proud of you for stepping up. That's amazing. That's
And that,
something a lot of people need to do.
and that's why Saren does what she does too. So that sort of mindset is common, and truly, there's been a lot of that sort of revelation and work that happens in my therapy sessions as well, without question. Saren quickly says also, no, there isn't. It just creates trauma. So if we don't take care of it, I agree. We have to be one with what's going on and being able to have an outlet for that with a therapist or a journal or what have you, to become one with it. So I totally get that. Gilly has a question. Is there anything to the ideology that light hazing on one's flaws can motivate that individual to improve? Oh, okay. See, that's the comment to that. Got it. Sorry, I totally misread it. Is there isn't the real problem being a victim mentality versus I'll show them mentally? And then Saren says, no, there isn't. It just caused more trauma. I agree with Saren on this one. There's absolutely nothing that can be had out of that, Gilly. I think you can motivate yourself, psych yourself up if you're in some sort of personal motivation for yourself, but that's within yourself. That's not within anyone else. So sorry for misreading the comment flow there, but there you go. Wouldn't be the first time, Austin, right? Laura says, we have been working on intergenerational trauma. Your inner voice matters, and I've been reflecting on that a lot today. I think I have been my own bully lately. Laura, that's a
Oh
plug
my
for
god, I didn't even think
Thursday.
about to talk about that. Oh yeah, that's why I didn't talk about it. Yeah, I knew that.
We could tease it tonight and talk about your perspective on that. Definitely, let's do that. And then
Yeah.
one more comment that I wanted to bring up before we go back to your slides. CK says, CK, how you doing, by the way? Each child is different. They handle things differently. You can have siblings who grow up in the same environment and will have individual experiences, reactions, totally different.
Yeah. You said go back to my slides, but that was the last slide.
Oh, that
Now that
was
we're
the last.
talking about this, I wish I would have added more.
No, that's okay. Let's talk about, as I call it, man versus himself. Man, basically inner conflict. But
Yeah.
Austin, how do you deal with inner conflict? What does inner conflict look like within the guise of what you've been taught through what you learned in school and what you learned through peacekeepers?
So, first off, I want to say everybody's worst critic is themselves. And I don't care who you are. Your worst critic is yourself. Um, as I was talking to JB this morning, or this morning, before we got on here, even on these little video calls, I take a shower before I put deodorant on. I spray myself with cologne. I make sure I smell good for a video conference, only because I am my own worst critic. I need to make sure that I look good and smell good, I guess, so I can feel good. But at the same time, like I don't want people out there to um, okay, this is really weird. But I guess I'm always worried that something's going to go wrong. People are going to see the stench coming from me for like on those movies, the animated movies. Yeah, so it's everybody's their own worst critic, and how I deal with it is I try and push those. I try and push most of them aside. I do. I try to push most of those thoughts aside. Some of them get to me, like this right here. I've started to just grow it out because I'm tired of it. But I used to just shave it because I didn't think anybody would like the way it looked. But I'm at the point that I'm just gonna let it go.
Well, it
I'm gonna
is
try to let it go.
it is November. You're supposed to let it grow in for charity. I don't know which charity, but you're supposed to let it. I've shaved it, but I'll let it grow for a little while.
Oh yeah, I think I have too, but
Some comments that were popping up. Going back to the whole, Sarah says to Laura, that material gets interjected and it goes so deep. It does. Without question, it does. Um,
mm,
and we could spend at least an episode or two or more on this. And I plan to, because I really get the sense that a lot of you have experienced this, in the school setting, but also the home setting. And if we want to talk about what this means to something we've talked about on the show before, and that of internal family systems, we can spend at least a month on it. But we're going to talk about this more, and Sarah, hold me to that, because this will get deeper for sure. Saren says you get a lot of times end up with the scapegoat. You get a lot of times you end up being the scapegoat and a golden child in trauma family. So you can be the golden child and a scapegoat, the hero and the goat, so to speak, when your family has trauma all over the place.
yeah.
CK says, that's why I smell freshly. That's why maybe a hint of Axe body spray, she says.
Maybe
There you go.
that.
There it is. Oh, man. Paul Seg rocking the Axe. There you go. There it is. Um, Bringing this back in for a second, Jamie says, I was abused as a child and didn't realize why I was so harsh and mean in high school until later. I've been able to heal and apologize to people and be better since then.
Oh, that's amazing that you're apologizing to people. That actually means so much to people. Like I've had past like bullies from elementary school that have come up to me and said that they were sorry, and that honestly means so much.
Paul says,
So
sorry, Jamie. Good to see you see it. Good on you to see it happening and confronting it. I absolutely agree. Jamie, you're awesome.
you get a digital fist bump with that one.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
Uh, Marcus says, Austin, your openness and willingness to publicly speak about your experiences and thoughts are very inspiring. I have to agree 100%. And then Matt, as now the Awesome Wood Things on YouTube, shameless plug, says if bullies choose their victims because they think the victim won't retaliate, is that a valid tactic to not be an easy target, or is a valid tactic to not be an easy target? So basically, self-defense,
Well,
karate, what have you.
um, I think a bully wants a reaction. Like I guess there's the select few that don't. They just do it for fun, but most bullies do want a reaction, and the best tactic to not be an easy target is when they are, if it's verbal making fun of you, make fun of yourself. Go along with it. Somebody calls you dumb, you're like, yeah, thanks, I know.
Jamie says, yes, awesome for
Yeah,
doing this, Austin. Laura says, my family of origin is just now speaking again after 2 years of discord working on healing our relationships. And trauma is hard, but worth it 100%. Sarah says to Jamie, making amends is such hard work and such good work. Good for you.
mm-hmm.
Uh, I'll bring up this question as well. Um, Gilly asks, would there be a point of diminishing return if people never were bullied or hazed in any capacity, then became very soft because of it, and not hardened to human nature? Gilly taking the other
That's a
side of it.
that's a good question. That's very very valid point. Um, and yeah, I guess in some cases it would make some people soft, but would there be a would there really be a use of, like, is it would there if there were no bullying, would there really be a balance of hard and soft? Like you wouldn't need to be,
Right.
you wouldn't really need to be hard or soft if there was no bullying. So I guess if bullying doesn't exist, then hard and soft wouldn't exist either.
Marcus says defending and retaliation is not the same thing.
Yeah, defending and retaliation completely different. I honestly don't think if you're being bullied, you shouldn't do either. If you're being physically bullied to the point that like you're like they are going to cause like permanent harm, fight back.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, if you feel like your life is in danger, fight back. But if it's just like somebody pushing you on the ground, leave it alone.
Matt
Just
says,
shrug it off.
right. Matt says a classmate of his helped him pick up his books after a bully slapped them out of his hands. She said, that guy's a jerk. Simple gesture. I never forgot that kindness.
Yeah, I try to be that person. If I see somebody just drop something, whether it's knocked out of their hands or not, if I see somebody drop something, I'm the first one there to help them pick it up.
For the people that are listening to this, I'm going to repeat that because I think I misread it. I'm going to just repeat that once more than Matt said. A classmate of mine helped me pick up my books after a bully slapped them out of my hands. She said, that guy's a jerk. Simple gesture. I never forgot that kindness. Yeah, that is incredibly kind. Jamie says, "Oh, Matt." Yeah, it's very very much so. Saren says to Gilly, "No, just no." I think there is one level, and then there's one level way too far, and it's very hard to read between the two. And when you have a doubt about it, just do the right thing and take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Grow that love and that honesty inside, so you can share that and nothing more than that. Laura says, yes, that one action left a big impact, Matt. If you can be a light, be one. Be a light. That's Laura, perfect. Be a light. Absolutely be a light.
Be a light.
Sarah says the
If you
simple
can't be a
kindness
light,
is
be a lamp.
this right. The simple kindness is so powerful. And Jamie says, yeah, I can't imagine being mean or harsh for no reason anymore. And even for a reason, I now pause before acting instead of reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Matt says, I believe the tactic Austin mentioned is agree and amplify. Example, yeah, I know I'm stupid. In fact, I won the township award for most stupid. See, you amplified a put down. That's much better, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because if you're gonna make fun of yourself, what's the point in them making fun of you, right?
It loses its intensity and bite when when you basically roll with you show that you can have a good laugh, and what's so dramatic about that? What's so stinging about it? It's funny.
It's actually gotten to the point that my mom used to pick on me a lot. She wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
bully, but she would pick on me, and just and it's gotten to the point that she doesn't do that much anymore because I make fun of myself with her.
CK makes a very good point. I'll bring the comment back up. The bully most likely is going through their own darkness.
Mm-hmm. I think, did I talk about that? If I
Yeah,
didn't, it's something I wanted to talk about.
we touched upon it lightly, but let's go back to that for a second. I mean, the bullier ends up being or has been bullied at one time in their life, and then it basically grows into a vicious cycle of bullying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and uh, as I think was it Jamie or was it Sarah that was talking about the vicious cycle of abuse in families. Um,
The
yeah,
perpetuator, that was
it's just
Sarah.
gonna keep going. Yeah, the perpetuator was Sarah. Yeah, it's just gonna keep going and keep going. And um, where was I going with this? Yeah, I had a place and I lost it. um,
Uh, Yeah, it's here. It is. Yeah, Sarah's saying to Laura, it's the victim perpetuator cycle. The abuse becomes the abuser if they don't work on their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Laura says, yes, people who need to make others feel bad have something going on. And CK says, I would not talk negative about myself ever. I would suggest you respond with, yeah, I'm stupid, stupid awesome, stupid sick, stupid tall, etc. I like that too.
I like that too, but also you get the some people that are just like they'll laugh at you when you say that. Like they'll continue on and escalate it even more when you say positive things about yourself.
I will also say that if I was ever looking for a comment that was based on Seinfeld, I know I can go to one person. That would be Matt Haas. He says, just don't use the George Costanza comeback. The Jerkster called. They're running out of you. Haha, that was a lame comeback. Haha. Oh, Seinfeld. Austin, this presentation, how many I know you've presented it once before. I mean, it is such a solid presentation and has some very, very strong points. Have you thought about giving this presentation more to other groups, to other places?
I've thought about it, yes. I don't know when I'd have the time or how I'd get set up with it. I've have looked into it a little bit. Like I do want to, but school's definitely gonna be my number one priority. Like I got to get all that stuff done first.
I would think with the work that you've been doing with the peacekeepers that they would probably be interested in trying to extend this within the school district, but also perhaps a community, perhaps who knows, other organizations that are doing the same sort of talk, maybe growing together to give us you know a wider sort of talk. Uh,
I'm gonna try and
Go ahead.
I'm gonna try and pitch this with to my mentor tomorrow. Like I'm gonna send him the link to this. Let him listen to it.
Matt says this is great content. Thanks for this, Austin. You the man. I agree with Matt completely, verbatim. Austin, you the man. You absolutely the man.
Hey, but JV, you demand, Matt, you demand. Everybody in chat, you demand or woman. You're all you're, you're all special and unique in your own way. You're all awesome. You're
Austin,
uniquely you.
there you go. There you got the tagline and everything all together. Boom, boom. Austin, any final comments?
Um, Thank you guys for letting me come out here. Thank you, JV, for letting me be on. Thank you,
Anytime.
everybody, for this riveting, um, your riveting content, your comments. Thank you. You guys are awesome. JV, thank you for letting me be on here. Thank you for talking, and thank you for your questions. You're awesome as well.
Austin, you're incredible, and I go back to Sarah's comment earlier. I was so glad you did, Lita, and you are an incredible live streamer, and I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of your work. You're incredible. Thank you, man. Austin, have a great night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you once again, and we'll talk soon. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Austin, ladies and gentlemen, as I was telling others about tonight's conversation, this program, I said we're going to be hearing from a very bright 17-year-old about bullying, and boy, I think I understated that. That was absolutely fantastic. And Austin, again, thank you. Some quick comments as we were trying to put a giant bow on all of this, and I'll get my bug out of the way here. Um, there we go. Paul says, thanks, guys. Really great live. Paul, thank you for joining us tonight. Gilly says, comment section's on fire. Gilly, thank you for joining us this evening. Marcus says, I think Peacekeepers is a very good approach. I agree. When Austin talked about that, when we were doing the pre-interview yesterday, brilliant. And I hope to see a lot more schools doing that. And again, thank you for the coffee earlier, Marcus. I appreciate that. Matt says, is this a good comeback? Cast your eyes upon my field of tacos, and you shall see it barren. Did I screw this? Tacos? That. Whatever that is. It's, first time streaming. Go figure. Marcus says, make peers part of the solution. Absolutely. Make peers part of the solution. Get them involved, because chances are they're dealing with it too, one way or another. Callie says, thank you for the stream. Callie, thank you for joining us this evening. Sarah says, pretty amazing guy. Yeah, that's an understatement. Austin's pretty darn amazing for sure. Austin can finally go get food. He was waiting. Austin, go have the most amazing dinner, my friend. Callie says, Austin, great job. Thank you for sharing with us. I concur 100%. Marcus says, that was fantastic. Thank you, Austin JV. Thank you, Marcus, for joining us. And Austin says, thank you, everyone. You're awesome. You're awesome too, my friend. So let's talk about Thursday night. We talked about bullying and what happens when other people inflict that sort of negativity towards us. What happens when we inflict that negativity towards ourselves? What happens when it becomes a question of man versus himself? 1, what causes it? 2, how do we get out of that mindset? 3, what do we do to make sure we're far away from it? And how do we live a better life past it? That will be the topic on Thursday night. And then Friday is still tentative, but if there isn't a Candyland visit, then it'll be a VF Talks Friday night at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, when we talk about anything and everything. So, man versus himself, Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. VF Talks tentative, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on Friday. One more comment there, and that of great job, Austin. Jamie, thank you for joining us this evening. But on that, I'm going to say the same thing I say at the end. Oh, wrong graphic. I'm going to say the same thing I say at the end of every Venture Forward and VF Talks. Stay safe, stay sane, stay strong, stay sober. You're worth it. Have a great night. I'll see you Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, for the next episode of the Venture Forward. Have a great night. Fly, be free.